Welcome to the Vogue podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Vogue podcast, in which I'll be interviewing professional singer Greg Dale, whom you guys might know best as the voice behind the famous Midnight Riders from Left 4 Dead 2. Thank you so much for coming on, Greg. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's really my pleasure. But some fans may not know, what you do in life and who you are. So if you wouldn't mind explaining yourself a bit and introducing yourself to the fans, I'd appreciate it.
No problem. I'm Greg Dale. Been playing music for most of my life. I moved out to Ohio, the easy to spell state, from California a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's not much to tell other than I'm a musician and
Mm-hmm.
slogging along.
Okay. So you're a professional musician. I don't suppose you have done any acting or anything like that.
No acting. This voice work was the only thing I'd done of its kind, and the only thing I've
Okay.
done since then. So
Okay. Well, I think that particular voice work was really interesting that you've done, and I don't think you might realize how big of a fan base you might have for this specific gig. Could you please talk a bit about your involvement in Left 4 Dead 2 and how it came to be?
yeah, no problem. So um, what year do you think it was? It was a long time ago. Did the game come out in 2009 or?
It did, but I don't know when the songs or
Right.
whatever
So
production might have come
so
out.
this guy Noah Landis, who was Mike Moraski's engineer and assistant in the studio, asked me to come in and sing for this project that they had. Now, Mike Moraski is the guy that does in this game, and I know a lot of games at Valve. He does all the music, all the little
Hmm.
sequences that go between the
That's
things.
right.
So, and I was super excited to do it because he was also used to be in a great band called Steel Pole Bathtub in San Francisco that were
Mm,
just great. So I always knew who he was, and I'd met him on and off over the years, but it was nice to be asked to come in. And so we went in, and I sang for him a little bit, and I got the okay, and then we proceeded to do the first two tracks, which I think were Midnight Ride and what was the other one?
it could have been anything, but One Band Man is also a song from
One
Midnight
Bad Man,
Ride.
yeah. So Midnight Ride and One Bad Man, and those were
Hmm.
the initial two that we did.
Okay.
So, do you want me to continue? So we
Sure.
so we went in, and they rented out a studio, and I think Mike played most of the guitars, and and I think the people from Valve wrote the lyrics for I'll tell you later,
Hmm.
for save me some sugar, that we all got to be more involved. But there was a initial run of lyrics, and then they ran them past their legal department to make sure that they weren't too over the line.
Oh, okay.
And they made some corrections in there because I think there's some stuff you're not allowed to mention. So then once we got those lyrics in place, we went in there and cut the tracks.
Hmm. Okay. And have you heard of the game beforehand, of the first version, or have you not?
I heard it was a big game. I hate to disappoint because you mentioned that there's the Left 4 Dead people,
Hmm.
and the people that play the game are awesome. I came to learn that. I didn't know much about games. I played a couple of games um, coming up, but I just don't do it that much.
Of
And they
course.
told me about the first game, and they said this is going to be a super cool project. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that before, but but little did I know when they released it, you know, uh, turned out to be pretty cool.
Oh, it turned out to be really cool. As a matter of fact, still tens of thousands of people still play it to this day, and it definitely
That's
still has
amazing.
a very strong fanship. Have you ever played the game at all,
No, I've
Ronald?
watched though.
Oh,
I've
okay.
watched the game. I've watched all the sequences um where the music comes up in it. And again, that was because it was posted online by the fans of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So did you know there was a website for the band?
Yes, I have heard of that. Yes, I'm not sure
Okay,
if it's
so
still available or not.
I'm not sure either, but it was pretty amazing. So they I got a call on the day that they were going to launch the website, and they go, check this out. So we went down and we looked, and the band, Valve was totally into this whole concept, and they made a website that made the characters look like a real band. And they had a write up about it and everything, and a couple songs posted, and sort of the history of the band as related to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and then they released it, and then the songs started hitting, and
Uh-huh.
you just saw the count go up and up. I'm like, I can't believe this. I think there was 70,000 hits on it in the first
Mm.
couple of hours, which,
Well, of course. I
it's,
mean,
it's
they were
interesting.
amazing
It's
songs.
interesting to see if you haven't had much success in all your other endeavors.
Oh, well, of course, but you mean Valve is this very huge company, so of course they have their way of marketing and promotion. But of
Right.
course, I mean, the people wouldn't have clicked on them if they wouldn't have sounded so good, and they were really amazing. My personal favorite is "Save Me Some Sugar," but the other ones that you sang were also amazing. And the next question we have from the dude is, how long did it take to get all the lyrics recorded?
So we went in and recorded, and I must have been singing like that for six out. We did 2 days. I was 6 hours a day working, getting it just right.
Uh-huh.
Um, and for the first two things, and then of course there was some downloadable. There was a Christmas song that was a downloadable. I'm not familiar, but maybe it came out on the downloadable DLC. Is that what you guys call it? The downloadable.
It is possible, yes.
And so there was a Christmas song, so that was a separate session, and then of course a little while later there was Save Me Some Sugar session.
Well, it is pretty cool they brought you back. It seems like Valve really liked the idea of the Midnight Riders and their songs.
Yeah, they really did, and they were totally supportive of it.
Mhm.
Once they saw that it was getting some traction too, I bet. I didn't talk to anyone there, but I was just getting reports from Mike, who was pretty happy about it too, because I don't want to speak for him, but it wasn't something that he typically gets to do there.
Uh-huh.
Play 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 the guitar and just totally rock out. So yeah, there was some talk about maybe trying to do a live show of it, but that sort of fizzled out.
Uh-huh. It's
But
unfortunate.
yeah, unfortunate, but maybe fortunate because we'd all have to wear wigs.
Oh, I suppose, yeah. Well, if that would have been the biggest issue for you, then I understand.
Yeah.
Speaking of the website of the Midnight Riders, as I recall, I think there was a secret on the website which showed the people the demo of Save Me Some Sugar. Now, I don't know if that was like an actual demo or if it was just something produced like a demo. I'm not sure. But it was also a very great sounding demo. If you can
Oh,
you tell
cool.
us something about that?
Yeah, I
If you remember.
can. So I'll just tell you about the recording of that particular song. So we got to go in and write the song together. So we all sort of came up with the chordal structure, and once we had a solid song structure,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me,
No worries.
we I went home and got to try. I can't remember if we had the Save Me Some Sugar part as the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the only line, but I went home and just started writing, and I wrote most of those lyrics. And then, of course, once I had them laid out, I was sort of following the game and with the trajectory of their travel and stuff,
Uh-huh.
and just trying to come at it from a band that's on the road a lot, and make it sort of dark, and some good imagery in there.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so then again, once those lyrics were done, then Valve went in there and changed things, like you can't, I remember one thing being you can't smoke cigarettes. So maybe I had a reference to smoking a cigarette.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that turned into burning down Louisiana. Maybe I said uh, burning down some other town on a road, but I think that maybe
Yeah.
the game took place down in those areas, Georgia and Louisiana.
Yes, that's correct. The demo
Yeah,
did have some different words from the actual song that was later used in the game. That's
right.
true. Yeah.
I should have done my homework and gone back and listened to the demo, but so we did do the demo first and sent that in, and they loved it, and then we went in to the studio and did the whole process again, and uh, and that one was super fun because we all had more invested in it. Um,
Yeah.
so
So you did have some sort of a creative input on
yeah,
the script of
yeah,
Sega for
we
sure.
pretty much wrote that all together, got the, you know,
Hmm.
um, so the cool thing about it was, because then they had I don't know if you're going to bring this up, but they had the contest for the contest for I think you got to
An
win.
official video clip, I think. Yeah, I there was a contest like that that people were supposed to film like a video clip of the Midnight Riders song, if that's
Right,
what you're referring to. Yeah.
exactly. And so, and the prize was win a guitar signed by the Midnight Riders or something,
Uh-huh.
right? So I had previously, I'm just going to lay this down, like during the first two songs, I was working at an animation company in San Francisco, and I wasn't an
Hmm.
animator myself, but I worked there among all those creative people, and we did cartoons and commercials and a lot of actual, like different types of animations.
Uh-huh.
So when they had the contest, I was blown away at all the entries, all the submissions for
Hmm.
that. And then the interesting thing was where I found out that somehow they found that that acoustic demo of the song, and people were making videos of that one too. So it was really cool. Like
Oh yes.
the fans of that band are just super cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And how many, I mean, I can't recall, or at least I don't remember seeing your name in the credits. Were you credited, or I'm not, how many people do you think they actually know that it's you who did the voice of
I
that?
think I'm at the end somewhere in the game, because people get in contact with me, every once in a while.
Yes.
But it is one of those things where, um, you're like, it's like being, who the Chipmunks are?
Yes.
It's like going, if you're the singer for Alvin and the Chipmunks,
Hmm. Well, that's an interesting
and
comparison.
you go into a bar and say, hey, do you know who I am? I'm Alvin from the Chipmunks.
Well, I mean, listening to your normal speaking voice, it's quite different from the style that you sang in. So, how difficult or how exhausting was it for you to sing in that voice for those 6 hours, for example, in the studio?
I held up pretty good.
Oh,
I
really?
don't,
Okay.
like in my own music, um, uh, the stuff that's on my Bandcamp page, I don't often sing like that. But in my earlier days, I can sing. My voice sounds like a lawnmower anyway, so it's not the prettiest thing. I Oddly enough, I started singing because everybody that we had early on in our infancy as a band over to lead sing, we're like, this person is completely crazy, you know, the ego and the stuff that you need to be a good front man. So we just decided to start singing ourselves. And oddly, this is a front man situation.
Indeed, it is, by all means. And you did great because all the fans loved it, and you sounded great. You really gave that. I'm not even sure if I can say character, but the vocals you've provided are just. They're really emotional, I suppose. People really get what you tried to tell them. So yeah, the message went through. So that's all that matters.
Good. Because the first couple of songs, you know, there is a sense of humor to the whole thing too. I mean, it's you know, the the biker rock, like this band would have been a band that probably had songs about girls and motorcycles, and you know, that
Of course, yes, yes. That
like references to love and cars and
mm-hmm. Well,
right. They weren't like trying to overly philosophize.
mm. Well, actually, when I first found out that you did the vocals for the Midnight Riders, I searched up your name to see how would I be able to reach you, and I found a Reddit post in which uh they were saying that they created a song with you. If I recall correctly, it was something like High Heels Brushed Steel, a
Yes.
saloon song,
Yeah.
and I listened to that, and I really heard the kind of Midnight Riders feel to it. I mean, the voice that you did particularly, it reminded me of the Midnight Riders.
Right.
I'm not sure if that was intended or not.
Well,
Um,
yeah, that guy got a hold of me, Sir Willie D, and he was just such a nice guy. I mean, just such a nice guy that I'm like, oh, he wanted to do a song, and I'm like, okay, he was so nice and so approachable, and we just worked on a little thing and just did a song, and he put it up, and I still keep in touch with him. He's super cool guy. He's much younger than I am, but yeah, he's
hmm.
yeah.
Well, age doesn't really matter. What does, though, is this
Right.
following question. Since you collaborated with this great person, as you said, if there were any passionate Left 4 Dead musicians, I don't know, who are interested in making like something like what the Midnight Riders was, a fan-made kind of song, would you be willing to collaborate with them if there ever was a request of that sort?
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to talk about it, you know.
Yes.
Uh yeah, it was such a long time ago, and it's so different than what I do. But on the other hand, I'll do anything twice.
Hmm. Okay. Well, of course you wouldn't do something that's bad. Of course you would before recording anything, you would make sure it's something legit, you know.
Right. Right.
That's the first thing that I assume you would do to
Yeah.
make sure. Yeah.
There would have to be some quality control for sure. But I don't think,
Okay.
I don't think legally I could, we could sing, I could sing as Schmitty or anything,
Of
and
course,
yeah.
it's well, I suppose you are right because legally it's always a difficult question because you don't want Valve to sue you by any means. Uh,
Definitely. And and I did sign some paperwork. It was very standard stuff. Um, but it was not anything like a non-disclosure or
mhm.
anything like that. But you know, uh,
Of course, you just want to be sure that you don't
right,
get in trouble.
right. And I think the statute of limitations have run out on it anyways. But definitely wouldn't be as Smitty. Um, yeah, like yeah, the thing got tons of good run. There was an article when I was living in this was a thrill for me. There was an article in the San Jose Mercury News about the best animated bands, and the top 10 bands. And we, I think Josie and the Pussycats and the Chipmunks were in there, and the Archies and Fat Albert's band. And we were in there, in the lower half, but I was blown away at that they even knew what it was. And that we shot up past all these, these huge animated bands. Because when you grew up in the 70s and 80s, cartoons were on every Saturday morning, and it was a much different, there was only 3 or 4 stations. It was a much different entertainment was much different, and so everybody knew who these bands were, and probably got some kids into music.
Well, that's highly probable. That's a great achievement. I
Yeah.
mean, to get in an article of that sort, and even though it's been probably a while since you read that article, I still want to congratulate you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was back in 2010 or something.
Yeah, but people still enjoy the music of Midnight Riders, and no wonder they're really bangers. And getting back to Left 4 Dead 2, or the beginnings, I would say, you said that you weren't really like a gamer type. So when you got this call from your friend regarding this video game, like, did you have any expectations, or like, what were your opinions on this? Like, should you do this? Should you not do this?
No, like I said, I was game to do it because I wanted to work with Mike. It sounded like a super fun project. And but I didn't have any expectations. I really didn't know the company I was walking into. It was blind luck, that this company had their stuff sew together, and that the studios were all top rate. It was really nice. It was a really nice experience.
Well, I'm glad you had a great experience. That's very important. Do you think this gig opened up any other opportunities that came later?
No, not really. I mean, like I said, it's like sort of that thing that uh I didn't really push. I did not self-promote myself as that the person that was in this band. I didn't go out there and put that on my resume or start knocking on doors trying to get more work like that. I just went back to my regularly scheduled programming of doing my own music, but every once in a while I do check in on every 3 years I'll go and look at the some of the videos, and I see people that are covering the songs and playing them in the living room and playing them at school talent contests in Russia. And it's really humbling to see a song that you wrote being sung in Russia. Or like there's one guy that does a classical piano version of Save Me Some Sugar that's just freaking amazing. And quite frankly, I relearned the song because people put the lyrics up and had all the chords, chord changes up. So yeah.
Oh, well, that's cool then. We
Yeah.
got a kind of weird question over here, which
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really that weird, but if you ever be interested in like remastering or remaking the songs that you sang previously.
I don't think we own them. I think that like if they actually like put out a vinyl's coming back, if they did like a 7-inch and put all 4 songs on there, that would be cool. But that would be up to them, up to Valve.
Well, of
I've got
course, but is
no
there
say
something
that.
that
And I think Mike's so busy, and just going back and doing that, it's probably not a thing that's going to happen. But I have no idea.
well, yes, but I don't suppose there's anything that would prevent you personally to make like a cover of a song.
Right. No, I guess I could do that, but I probably wouldn't. Like I'm gonna try to play Save Me Some Sugar for You, and I enjoy playing that. Maybe I might play that at a show sometime.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, Yes, of course. I mean, just do whatever you think is the best. But
Right.
if you, I mean, I'm not sure if you're like interested in like somehow reaching the fans of Left 4 Dead or like getting a following from them. Videos of this sort. Like playing a song like what you'll do here.
Right.
Maybe something like that could help with that.
You may be right. You may be right. Will you be my manager?
Well,
I'm sure, I'm sure you've got stuff. You've already got a job.
well, I see no reason why couldn't I help out. I mean, if you only, you know, and even if not, we can always find you a manager.
That's great. Thanks, Ronald.
No worries, man. I mean, whenever I can help, I'm always here if I can do something. Well, I suppose there's a question from Sino here. If you ever re-listen to the songs that you performed for the game, and you already answered that
Right.
sometimes in years you do re-listen to some of
Yeah,
that.
I
And
go
of
back
course,
every three
yeah.
years and listen to see what people have done.
Mm. And this next question from Nick Fan is if you have a favorite one.
I like Save Me Some Sugar.
That's a great song, yeah. Midnight
Yeah,
Riders,
I like Midnight Ride too.
yeah, that's a great one too.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the most famous ones, or maybe Save Me Some Sugar is more famous. But yeah, those two are definitely at the top.
awesome.
Um, an interesting question from Mr. Bunny too. I'm pretty sure you're not gonna have an answer for that, or it's gonna be a pretty simple answer. If you'd happen to have knowledge of any songs that you sang that didn't make it into the game.
No, there's no there. I think we did all those four songs to Christmas. Yeah, those four songs. That was it. That was
Mm.
all we did.
So all materials were used.
Yeah, and I think at the time people, the people working on it would have done more, but I think sort of Valve sort of moved on. If what I recall their feeling of it was because they were making so many games. Um,
Yes.
so we just sort of let it lie.
Okay. Well, if you were hoping for perhaps a few later years to come back, well, unfortunately, as you might know or might not know, Valve isn't really making any more games at this moment, or not as
I
many.
didn't know that.
So, if there was a Left 4 Dead 3, I think you would already know about that. There is no Left 4 Dead 3 as for now.
Right.
Maybe in
So they
years
they
from now.
stopped they stopped as a company. What I wonder what happened.
No, they're still pretty much active, but they have this program called Steam where there's
Uh-huh.
millions and billions of users. It's like a online. I don't even know how to explain it. You can buy games there and play games and talk to friends, so they make a whole lot of money from that. And
Okay.
slowly, they're also making some games. Uh,
Seems like they're moving into the future. Because aren't
yes.
those aren't those Halo type games the ones that people really like to play in those fantasy games where you can get online and they build like
Well, I suppose. I mean, all people have different kind of tastes, so whatever. Some people, like I said, still play Left 4 Dead too, including myself, and it always puts a smile on my face when I hear your voice or like anything else in the game. It's just a lot of fun. So here is an interesting question because, like you said, you don't really act or do any voiceover or anything of that sort. But if you had the opportunity and Smith, what was his name? Smithy?
Schmitty,
Smitty.
Schmitty,
If
Schmitty.
he would return as a character, and if you were to voice him, what voice would you give him?
That's a good question. A little something a little gravelly, something a little 2 packs of cigarettes a day, something a little Jack Daniels for breakfast.
Well, that sounds like something that actually could work.
It trust me, it works.
Perhaps could you show off a bit of how that could sound like if there's
Oh
a
yeah, you know how it's gonna sound.
that would actually work perfectly.
You know how it's gonna sound. It's gonna sound real good.
that works. Come on, Left 4 Dead fans. I mean, you're with
That's
me on
just off
this.
the top of my head.
But no, but
That's
really, that would work excellently. I
awesome.
just imagined it. All right. We have the next question. I'm not sure. I assume you probably re-listened to Save Me Some Sugar because, you
Yeah,
had to kind of learn it or whatever
yeah.
again. And you remember that part, which is like kind of reversed and it's like kind of
Mm,
slow. And
yep,
people found out that it actually says Bill is dead.
yep.
I'm not sure if you can remember how was that recorded. Did you sing it like backwards
No, I
or?
sing it. That's they just ran the tape backwards. So that was the big secret. That was some plot point in the game, and they
Mhm.
wanted to put that little cookie in there for the fans to find it. Um, but
Okay.
they do that on rock and roll records all the time, where they put little
Really?
backward messages. Yeah,
Well, that was a pretty cool secret message. The
yeah.
character Bill, he passed
Yeah.
away in like the game, so that's why.
Was
But
there a
for
question of whether he passed away or not? Was that the thing? Did it sort of, it was a question mark and people didn't know for sure, and that's why they put that in? Is, do you think that
no,
was it?
no, no, I think we already knew by that time that he was dead, but they were trying to figure out what the message meant, and then they heard Bill is dead, and obviously that makes sense.
Right.
Okay, is there a possibility you could give a shout out to this guy named Polo? He would really like a shout out from you.
Oh, hey, Polo. Good to not meet you right now.
Well, that's a great shout out, right, Polo? Hope
Hey,
that works for you.
hey,
And
Polo. Go
so,
ahead.
Greg,
Yeah.
what are you up to nowadays? Tell the fans.
Well, I'm just recording music. I'm in the middle of making a couple of projects with a friend of mine who plays in a band called Lotus Thief in New York.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a record, the two of us, and then I've got a solo album that I'm working on. And no
Mm-hmm.
hurry to really get out. I just put out some stuff on uh, on my Bandcamp page, gregdale.bandcamp.com,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a band I just did with that person I just mentioned, Beth in New York, and a guy
Mm-hmm.
here, John Hubble, and we recorded remotely during the pandemic and did a 4-song EP called A Lower Heaven. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a bunch of solo records of mine on there. Um, and depending on when this comes out, I can go put up a couple of songs that are um, that sort of have Schmitty type vocals on it.
Okay. So that's for
Uh,
you, Left 4 Dead fans.
yeah. Or you can just email me. I'll give you my email address afterwards. And if you're interested in hearing those songs, I'll just send you an MP3.
Hmm.
I'm
Well,
pretty easy going.
I don't see why not.
I'm not a good businessman. I don't.
Well, that's why you got your manager, Mr. Hamrack, in
That's
the
right.
flesh. Yeah.
My face doesn't look completely orange here because of this light, does it?
No, it's fine.
Okay. It's
Okay.
still orange.
Well,
All right.
whatever you think. I'll leave that up to you.
Thank you.
We got a message from Gunmetal Gray, and he wants to tell you that the Midnight Riders and their songs are one of the best, if not the best, fictional bands ever.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Gunmetal Gray. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Glad you like it.
and I agree with them.
Means a lot. Seriously. That's killer.
And Safe Room Door is also asking if you would ever return to sing for Valve if you were asked again.
Yeah, I'd work over there again. For sure.
You have no reason why not to, I suppose.
No, no, yeah, no reason why not to. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'd definitely do that.
Well, we'd be happy to hear you reprise the role of Schmitty, uh, because that's what the people want.
All right. I know.
I mean, we don't want anything else from Valve but you to
Right.
return. Of course, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but I'm
Valve
really I mean,
Valve does a video game. Schmitty eating breakfast. Schmitty going to the store.
oh, speaking of Schmitty, there were plans of a Midnight Riders comic.
Oh, word.
It was canceled. I can't remember what exactly happened to it, but there was a question of that sort which I forgot to include here. But it's a good thing that I reminded myself. So, there was a comic, something about the Midnight Riders, which was canceled. You probably don't know anything about
I
that.
don't know anything about it, but that would have been cool.
Yes, it would have been
That would
cool.
be a good comic strip, quite frankly.
Yes, and some people suspected that they would be playable characters in Left 4 Dead 3, which, like I said,
Now,
didn't
I
happen.
do, that does bring up something. There was talk about that at one point.
At Valve,
I think so. I think there was talk of, yeah, I think there was talk about that. I don't know if I would, I would probably still just sing the songs and not do the voice work. But
hmm
uh, yeah, I do recall something like that.
well, that's cool.
Then they just moved, like I said, they moved on from. I
They
think
moved
the
on, yeah.
the video game sold a lot of copies,
Oh, it did. It
6
did.
million or something, which is
If not
crazy.
more, yeah, around probably
I-
around that number. Yeah, it's
yeah.
great. It's great. It's a great number. So Valve made a lot of money. I hope you did too.
No, no, that's none of my business.
Oh,
I didn't know, and they, they paid me fairly for what I did, but there was no, there was, you sign a thing and it's their property. I was just happy to do it. I wasn't, I
well,
just
what matters
I
is you
wanted the
enjoyed it.
experience. What's
Yes.
that?
What matters is that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good
Yes.
experience for
And
sure,
a new experience as well.
and a new experience.
You got to work together with Mike. So
Yeah,
yeah, by all means.
yeah.
I mean, as we might know, they might be alive, the Midnight Riders in the game. There was like a bus reference where they went by with a bus, which was like
Right.
0.5%, I think, for that to happen. And so people assume that they were alive, and they might be, but a lot of people think that, or a lot of people are, curious about your opinion on what their fate might be.
Well, the only thing I know is just keep them alive right here. Keep them alive.
Well, I mean,
Um,
obviously.
yeah, I mean, I think that the idea was the bus is leaving, so that like any cliffhanger that
Uh-huh.
leads to the possibility that there's
Hope.
still hope, and
Yeah.
then in the other side there, what that rumor that you heard about there being them being characters in a future endeavor was something that I remember hearing as well. So
Mhm.
that's all I know about it. So I
Well,
think they're probably still out there.
that's positive thinking.
They probably would have wrapped up the zombie apocalypse quicker than they did on The Walking Dead.
Oh. Probably, yeah. Took The Walking Dead some time,
They're
and they're still not done because of all the
still not
spin-offs.
done.
Yeah.
Oh, is there another one coming up?
I think so, one with Michonne and Rick, if you're familiar with the characters.
I bowed out after the fourth season or something.
No.
I enjoyed it
Okay.
for a while, but
Um, Not sure if I mean this is kind of out of context, but there was a character in The Walking Dead from season 3 to season 5, I think, called Tyrese Williams,
mhm.
played by Chad L. Coleman, and he was actually the voice of Coach in Left 4 Dead 2, a playable
Oh, cool,
character.
awesome.
Yes, that's I
So,
thought
so
I'd
he
mention
went on
that.
and did some. He probably has a resume then. That probably isn't his only gig.
Yes, but he did Left 4 Dead before The Walking Dead, so I'm not sure if the creators of Walking Dead were somehow inspired by Left 4 Dead or not. But it would have been cool if that's what happened.
They were really possible. I remember it was vampires were popular, and then pirates, and then zombies. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
sure where we're at now.
Well, that's a good question.
Maybe aliens.
Maybe. Or some sort of a virus.
Oh, yeah.
My God. Well, this was a lot of fun, Greg. And
Man, thanks for having me.
now, for the fans, we'd like to present you with Greg singing Save Me Some Sugar, which I think will be pretty I don't want to say new experience for you because you did that back years ago,
Right.
but it will be a refreshing experience for you. So
Yeah, it was a new experience. Let me grab my
yes.
guitar here. I'll
So
sort of just play it soft so we don't distort because I'm just on a little laptop here.
sure.
All right. Save me some sugar. Buses on the road, sweet Georgia fades away. We'll be burning down Louisiana by the very next day. No, sleep will never take me. My mind is stuck on you. Oh, you better be laying awake, thinking of me too. I'll ask one thing, not that you be true. The thing I'm asking of you, send me some sugar, this won't take long. I won't promise to stay the night, I won't sing you no songs. Send me some sugar, that's all I'll ask of you. You're my old lady, but the road's my lady too. All right. Bill's dead. Thank you for your sugar, sugar you brought down the night. I was seeing stars on the bedroom walls, the full moon in your eyes. Well, this don't mean nothing, well, I'm just passing time. Most of you I'll take with me, most I'll leave behind. One day I'll be back, well, it might not be too soon. I pray there's something left of you. Send me some sugar, this won't take long. Don't give me too much, I won't be there when you fall. Send me some sugar, that's all you gotta do. Anything left over, well, I'll take